rambunctious they are. How could you ever forget that if you have them or not?
Yeah, but I mean, this sets it up great where you could actually figure out that they are, because you know that the hustle bustle at the beginning, and it's just multiple families going on vacation together. It's like 15 of them or whatever there are, and everybody's going crazy, and the kids are driving the parents crazy, and vice versa. And all of a sudden, everybody's just shuffling out, and so on and so forth. And I guess they did a count and missed something or whatever, or he's in the other car, don't worry about it, type thing. So I mean, it is so believable because it's so funny the way that the whole thing was set up, but. You're right. I mean, obviously, it really goes back to time is the most important thing, and this is time spent with your kids and so on and so forth. So I guess it behooves you to make sure that they're with you.
Absolutely. It also goes back to what we were saying about processes. When you've got that checklist and you've got, make sure you've got all your kids with you, check that off and make sure you've got them.
Yep. And actually, this one was the sequel actually was a pretty good one too, because the Home Alone where he ended up in New York City instead of Chicago was a pretty good sequel to that. Same type of scenario, same plot, and the whole 9 yards, but it was pretty funny. Getting back to a real traditional one, A Christmas Carol, the story of Scrooge, and the lesson here, which is so apropos, is that money can't buy happiness. And no matter how many times you've watched this, no matter how many people you've seen play Ebenezer Scrooge or been lucky enough to go out and see it on the stage, it teaches a timeless lesson about greed. And I'm sure most of you, 99%, have seen this, but the story goes is that Scrooge, he shuts out Christmas. He refuses to help the poor. He's lonely, and he's visited by ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, whom show him the things that he's missed out on because of his relentless greed. And this ghost was promised to him by his former partner who died several years ago, and came and appeared to him as a ghost saying, you're going to get visited tonight because you have a chance. I can't be saved, and that kind of thing. And, Scrooge at the beginning saying, can we just forget about this and whatever? And he goes through the three ghosts, and some of the performances of this are a little bit more witty and fun than the others. But the bottom line is he finally changes around at the end when he's threatened, and he looks ahead and sees himself as dead with the chains on that his former partner has on. And he all of a sudden becomes 180 degrees turned around. And he did realize that when he was younger, he did have some of this happiness and kindness in him too. And he's given a second chance. And you remember at the end of the movie that he's buying the fatted turkey for his person who works for him. And he's like the life of the party here and there and whatever. And it's just such a great, fun turnaround, as it is in all of our lives. I mean, all of us, I think, have had people in our lives who may have had problems and have turned things around, and you just feel nothing but happiness for them by seeing that happen. So the moral of the story is that if you can get that in yourself and help out these people this time of year and all year when they're feeling down, or maybe if it's in the business world, help out people out there with your advice and your expertise and so on and so forth, unsolicited, like we talked about before, it's just a great thing to do. But the bottom line is money does not buy happiness. There's a whole lot more to happiness, and money is really the result of it, and it's not the source of it.
Right. And A Christmas Carol is such a classic. It's been told so many different times in so many different ways. And if you really want to see a great version of it, that actually Scrooge is a more modern day businessman, my favorite version of A Christmas Carol is actually Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. It is absolutely hysterical. It's the same classic story told as only Bill Murray can do it.
He is amazing. Yeah, I don't think Caddyshack fits into this today, but that was pretty funny. No. Anything that Bill Murray did is just such a wonderful thing. And actually, that brings up a movie that is not on the list, but it's the first one that I thought of, and it's all about the Grinch. And we've watched it on TV, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, and so on. Then that was made into a movie with another crazy guy like Bill Murray named Jim Carrey, who played the Grinch in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. But it's the same thing. It's that there are people out there who may seem bad on the surface and so on and so forth, but there is goodness and everybody has a heart. And at the end of the Grinch, you saw the Grinch's heart after he stole everybody's presents in Whoville. All of a sudden he hears the singing and Christmas goes on as normal without presents and toys and whatever. And he couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden his heart grew, Dr. Seuss's language, not one time, not 10 times, but 10 times, 10 times bigger. And you see all the graphics and all that. And it's just such a wonderful story. And the moral of the story there is that there is good in everybody. And if you can bring it out of them, that's fantastic. And that's what all the Who's and Whoville did to the Grinch.
Right. Again, it's another classic story. I think the original animated version is the best version of that, with Boris Karloff as the voice of the Grinch. But it really does show that, yes, people aren't born this way. Something had to happen to them to make them appear as this, grouch, this rotten person. And all it takes is somebody else to start caring to reverse that process. And while technically not a Christmas holiday movie, it is still a holiday movie. We're just talking about Bill Murray. It's the same lesson you see in Groundhog Day, where he has to relive the same day over and over again until he learns not to be a grouch and to care for other people and to genuinely care, not just do something good in the expectation that he's going to get something in return, but how to be selfless.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Let's see, there's an old classic called It's a Wonderful Life. Yep. And this is the moral of the story here. The lesson is your value isn't measured by your bank balance, which we talked a little bit about before. This is about 1946. It's Jimmy Stewart, who's George Bailey, contemplating committing suicide on Christmas Eve. Faced with all of his business transactions going horribly wrong, he decides everybody would be better off if he ended it all. But his guardian angel comes in, George changes his mind and ultimately discovers that his friends and family have got his back no matter what. So if your finances ever get you down, remember the words of George's angel Clarence. No man is a failure who has friends. And it's just another way to kind of reinforce what we've been talking about.
Right. And I think, the lesson from that movie also, even more than the bank account, when George's guardian angel shows him what life would have been like had he not existed, he makes the point of how many people and how many lives George has touched and affected. And that's something that we all have to realize, is that, no matter what we're doing, we have an effect on other people, and other people have effects on us. And it's this huge tapestry that when you pull one string out, the entire thing unravels. So think about all of the people that you have affected and all the people you will affect. And when you're thinking about that, it's like, how are you going to affect them? Are you going to, be short-sighted and selfish and just forget about that tapestry? Or are you going to make that tapestry stronger by thinking about someone other than yourself?
Yeah, and again, it really goes back to looking in the mirror and realizing the awesome person that you are. It's doing a self-assessment, not getting hepped up on what other people may think about you, because you can't control that kind of thing. So the bottom line is everybody's got to realize that we're all part of something that's really, really powerful and very, very wonderful, and yet we're all unique with our own talents. And that's the thing that really has to be emphasized for everybody. Everybody is worth a whole lot more than they think they are when they're down. And if you can kind of twist things around and work on your gratitude journal every day and your victory log and things that we've talked about so that you can reinforce yourself with that, that's a fantastic thing to do. So
right, it's so important to remember that you have value. And it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or what your circumstances are. You have value and you affect people. And that matters.
It does. And actually kind of parlays very, very well into a movie whose lesson is maintaining a positive outlook can help you reach your goals. Yes, this is another Saturday Night Live character, Will Ferrell, alias Elf. And what this is all about, it's a hilarious tale of an oversized Christmas elf named Buddy who goes on a quest from the North Pole to find his human birth father. His dad rejects him at first, but Buddy refuses to lose his enthusiasm for life. I forget. His dad was a really, really famous actor, George Allen.
I think it was James Caan.
James Caan. That's right. James Caan was his father, and it was really funny going into the apartment store, into the board meetings as this big elf who's taller than everybody there and sitting on people's laps and stuff like that. But ultimately, his father comes around and starts a successful publishing company with a best-selling book about Buddy's adventures to find him. So just imagine how an upbeat attitude like Buddy's could help you with opening a new business or getting out of debt. Obviously, it's very, very extreme. Obviously, the reason that my wife and I watched it is because our sons wanted to watch it with us when they were in their 20s. That's the first time we watched it. But there really is a lesson to be learned out of it. And Will Ferrell does a fantastic job as far as acting this thing out. You got to be in the mood to do that. This is a great movie to watch with a whole bunch of people because you're just going to remember new things every single time that you watch it and come up a little, oh, he's doing this now type thing. But again, the lesson, maintaining a positive outlook can help you reach your goals. And that's what pushed him through the whole movie from point A to point B in a very, very entertaining way.
Absolutely. It's a hysterical movie with a great message. As you know, all of these movies we've talked about have really important lessons that people can take to heart. And that's what learning from the holiday season is all about. If you can apply these lessons all year round, think about the difference it makes in your life.
Yeah, it was definitely fun going through these movies. We haven't hit on all of them, but I think, the moral of the story here is if you look for lessons in everything that's out there, you're going to find them. There's a positive message in a lot of different things that go on in your life. And if you just look for it, again, it's the cup half full thing as opposed to criticizing. It's really looking at the positive things that are going on out there. So it's just a fantastic analogy, is looking at these movies and getting lessons out of them.
Absolutely. And we're just about at the end of our time. So what's the big holiday takeaway that you want our audience to have?
Feel the gratitude that you're feeling this time of year, realizing why it's there. Take a look at the different traditions that you have in your life. Put them into your business, or remember the things that you've been doing there. And the bottom line is just bottle up all the positive stuff you got going for you right now and make it a habit to keep it going all year long.
I think that's fantastic. My takeaway is that what makes you happy during the holiday season doesn't have to stop when the calendar jumps to the next year. Keep up the processes that are making people happy, the attitude that's making you happy, and think about the effects you have on people. We all affect other people. Let's make it a positive effect. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. Although this is going to be the last podcast for 2018, we will see you in the new year. And in the new year, you'll still be able to catch us at xvadio.com, as well as the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, iHeartRadio app, Spotify, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best year ever and make next year even better. And we will see you then.